Three sharp barks cut through the tense silence of courtroom 7. The massive white Dogo Argentino, sitting beside the defendant's table, stared directly at Judge Malcolm Harrison with unwavering intensity. The dog's muscular body tensed as it barked again. Once, twice, 3 times. Each bark more deliberate than the last. Judge Harrison's gavel froze midair. His face drained of color as he locked eyes with the animal. The courtroom fell into as the dog slowly turned its head toward the back row where a man in a dark suit was quietly edging toward the exit. "Bailiff, stop that man immediately," the judge commanded, his voice barely above a whisper. Everyone watched in shocked confusion as the bailiff tackled the retreating figure to the ground. No one yet understood what had just happened, how a stray dog had just changed the course of justice forever. Before we continue, if you enjoy incredible stories about extraordinary animals and remarkable twists of fate, make sure to click that subscribe button. This is the best way for you to support our work. Thank you very much, and let's continue. It all began on a rainy Tuesday morning in the small town of Millfield. Officer Sarah Jenkins was responding to a routine call about a stray dog wandering near the Oakwood Elementary School. The calls had been coming in for days. Reports of a large white dog, possibly dangerous, scaring parents and children. As Sarah pulled up to the curb, she immediately spotted the animal. A massive Dogo Argentino, soaking wet and digging through a trash can. "Dispatch, I've located the dog," Sarah radioed in. "It's definitely a Dogo Argentino, male, no collar, probably around 100 pounds. I'm going to attempt to secure it." Sarah had dealt with strays before, but something about this dog made her pause. Despite its intimidating size and the breed's reputation as fierce hunters, the dog's eyes held something different: intelligence, wariness, but not aggression. She approached slowly, speaking in gentle tones. "'Kay there, big guy. You hungry? Nast? Let's get you somewhere dry. Okay?" To her surprise, the dog didn't run or growl. Instead, it sat down, watching her carefully as water dripped from its muscular frame. When she extended her hand, "Tom up," the dog sniffed it cautiously, then licked it once. "Well, aren't you a gentleman?" Sarah murmured, relieved. "Let's get you to the shelter and see if someone's missing you." At the local animal shelter, the staff scanned for a microchip but found nothing. No one had reported a missing Dogo Argentino, and the dog, whom Sarah had started calling Ghost for his white coat, showed signs of neglect. His ribs were visible beneath his short coat, and there were old scars across his back that spoke of past mistreatment. "He's been on his own for a while," said Dr. Martinez, the shelter veterinarian, as she examined him. "But he's remarkably well behaved for a stray. These dogs are bred for hunting and protection. They're not usually this calm with strangers. So what happens to him now?" Sarah asked, watching as Ghost accepted the examination with dignified patience. 5-day hold to see if an owner comes forward. But after that, Dr. Martinez's voice trailed off. They both knew the reality. Large, adult dogs, especially powerful breeds like Dogo Argentinos, rarely got adopted. The shelter was already overcrowded, and Ghost's future looked uncertain at best. Sarah couldn't explain why, but she felt drawn to this dignified animal. "I'll check on him tomorrow," she promised, giving Ghost a final pat before leaving. But the next morning brought unexpected news that pushed Ghost from Sarah's mind. Marcus Bell, a respected local businessman and philanthropist, had been found murdered in his home. As one of only 12 officers in Millfield's small police department, Sarah was immediately pulled into the investigation. The crime scene was meticulous. No fingerprints, no witnesses, no obvious motive. Bell had been well-liked, generous with his wealth, and active in community projects. His security system had been disabled, suggesting a planned hit rather than a robbery gone wrong. "This is an amateur work," Detective Wilson told Sarah as they surveyed the scene. This was professional, calculated. But why target Bell? He was set to break ground on the new community center next week. Over the next few days, the investigation consumed Sarah's time. The town was in shock. Murders simply didn't happen in Millfield. Dell's orphan nephew, 22-year-old James Bell, had inherited everything: making him an instant millionaire and person of interest, though he seemed genuinely devastated by his uncle's death. It wasn't until Friday that Sarah remembered her promise to check on Ghost. When she arrived at the shelter during her lunch break, she found chaos. "He's gone," Dr. Martinez explained, looking frazzled. "That Dogo you brought in somehow unlatched his kennel during the night. He didn't hurt any of the other animals, just disappeared. We've been calling animal control all morning." Sarah felt a pang of disappointment. "I'll keep an eye out for him during my patrols," she offered, though in truth, she had little time for stray dog searches with a murder investigation underway. But Ghost hadn't gone far. That evening, as Sarah arrived home exhausted after another long day, she found the massive white dog sitting patiently on her front porch. "Ghost, how did you find me?" she whispered, amazed. The dog's tail thumped once against the wooden porch, dark eyes watching her with that same unsettling intelligence. Sarah knew she should call the shelter, but it was after hours, and something about the dog's calm presence soothed her frayed nerves. "One night," she told him firmly as she opened her door, "tomorrow, we figure out what to do with you properly." That night, reviewing case files at her kitchen table while Ghost lay at her feet, Sarah noticed something odd in the photos from Belle's home office. In the background of one shot, partially visible on Belle's desk, was a photograph of a man with a white dog, a Dogo Argentino that looked remarkably like Ghost. "No way," Sarah murmured, leaning closer. Ghost lifted his head. Suddenly alert, Sarah grabbed her phone and called Detective Wilson despite the late hour. "I need to check something at Belle's house," she said without preamble. "There's a photo there I need to see up close." 20 minutes later, Sarah and Wilson stood in Belle's office, staring at the framed photograph now in Sarah's hands. It showed a younger Marcus Bell kneeling beside a Dogo Argentino puppy, both looking happy and carefree. "Bell owned a Dogo?" Wilson asked, confused. "Not just any Dogo," Sarah said slowly, her mind racing. I think the stray I found might have been Belle's dog." The next morning, with proper authorization, they obtained Belle's veterinary records. Sure enough, 5 years ago, Belle had registered a Dogo Argentino puppy named Argos. The records showed regular checkups until 6 months ago, when they abruptly stopped. But why would Belle's dog be wandering as a stray? Wilson mused. And where has he been for the past 6 months? Sarah had no answers, but she did have an idea. With Ghost, or rather Argos, now staying temporarily at her home, she decided to take him to Belle's house to see if he recognized it. The moment they approached the property, Argos's demeanor changed. The calm, dignified dog became alert, pulling on the leash and whining with urgency. Inside, with the police tape temporarily removed for their experiment, Argos moved with purpose, leading Sarah directly to Belle's home office. There, the dog pawed insistently at a section of hardwood flooring beneath the antique Persian rug. Wilson and Sarah exchanged glances before moving the furniture and rolling back the rug. "There's nothing here," Wilson said, frowning at the unmarked floor, but Argos continued to paw and whine at the same spot. On closer inspection, Sarah noticed slight differences in the wood grain pattern. "This section has been replaced," she realized. "Recently, by the look of it." With proper authorization, they brought in forensic specialists who confirmed Sarah's suspicion. A section of the original flooring had been removed and expertly replaced within the last few months. When they pulled up the new boards, they discovered a hidden compartment containing a waterproof case. Inside was a laptop, external hard drive, and a leather-bound journal. Belle had hidden his secrets literally beneath his feet, and someone had gone to great lengths to find them and cover their tracks with carefully matched new flooring. The journal contained coded entries that, once deciphered, revealed Belle had been gathering evidence against Charles Harrington, owner of Harrington Pharmaceuticals and Millfield's other wealthy benefactor. Belle had discovered Harrington was using his legitimate business as a front for manufacturing illegal synthetic drugs, using chemicals that were poisoning the local groundwater. This is why Belle was pushing so hard for those new water treatment facilities, Sarah realized. He wasn't just being charitable, he was trying to mitigate the damage while gathering evidence. The laptop contained damning financial records and video evidence. Bell had been building a case to take to the FBI, planning to bring down Harrington's entire operation. So Harrington had Bell killed, Wilson concluded. But how does the dog fit in? Sarah looked at Argos, who had settled down once the hidden cache was discovered. I think Argos witnessed the murder. Dell's killer probably tried to eliminate the dog too. But Argos escaped. He's been surviving on his own, possibly injured, definitely traumatized. The theory made sense, but proving Harrington's involvement was another matter. The killer had been professional, leaving no evidence connecting back to the pharmaceutical magnate. As the investigation continued, James Bell, Marcus's nephew and heir, became more involved. The young man was devastated to learn of his uncle's discoveries, but determined to see justice done. He took immediate custody of Argos, forming a quick bond with his late uncle's loyal companion. Uncle Marcus loved this dog more than anything. James told Sarah during one of her visits to update him on the case. He used to joke that Argos was the only one he could trust with his secrets. 2 weeks after the discovery of Bell's hidden evidence, the district attorney decided they had enough circumstantial evidence to bring charges against Harrington. The case wasn't strong. They still had no direct link between Harrington and the hired killer, but public pressure for justice was mounting as news of the water contamination spread. The preliminary hearing was set for a Tuesday morning in Courtroom 7, with Judge Malcolm Harrison presiding. Sarah, now officially part of the investigative team, sat beside the prosecutor. James Bell had been permitted to attend with Argos, who had been registered as an emotional support animal for the traumatized young man. Harrington sat with his expensive defense team, looking completely unfazed by the proceedings. His silver hair was perfectly coiffed, his tailored suit impeccable, his expression one of mild annoyance rather than concern. The prosecution presented Bell's evidence, laying out the environmental crimes and the motive for murder. Harrington's lawyers skillfully undermined each point, highlighting the lack of direct evidence connecting their client to Bell's death. By mid-morning, it was clear the case might not even survive the preliminary hearing to reach trial. During a brief recess, Sarah noticed something odd. Argos, who had been quietly lying at James's feet throughout the proceedings, suddenly became alert, his attention fixed on someone at the back of the courtroom. Following the dog's gaze, Sarah saw a man in a dark suit she didn't recognize, someone who didn't fit the profile of reporter, lawyer, or local citizen with an interest in the case. When court resumed, Judge Harrison was about to make his ruling on whether the case would proceed to trial. The tension in the room was palpable. The prosecutor looked defeated, Harrington smugly confident. That's when it happened. Argos suddenly stood, his powerful body tense, eyes locked not on Harrington but on the man in the back row. The dog barked 3 times, sharp, deliberate sounds that echoed through the hushed courtroom. Judge Harrison raised his gavel to call for order, but froze when he saw where the dog was looking. The man in the back row was slowly moving toward the exit, his hand inside his jacket. "Bailiffs, stop that man immediately," the judge commanded. Chaos erupted as the bailiff tackled the retreating figure. A gun clattered to the floor, sliding across the polished wood. People screamed and ducked for cover. When order was restored, the mystery man was in custody. His identity sent shockwaves through the investigation. Michael Reeves, a known hitman with ties to organized crime in 3 states, a ghost who left no evidence and who had never been successfully prosecuted, and Argos had recognized him instantly. In the days that followed, under intense questioning and facing overwhelming evidence of his armed presence in the courtroom, Reeves eventually made a deal with prosecutors. He confirmed he had been hired to kill Marcus Bell and had returned to eliminate James Bell, who Harrington feared might have access to additional evidence. Most crucially, Reeves provided bank records showing payments from shell companies traced back to Harrington. "The dog was supposed to be dead," Reeves explained during his confession. "After I took care of Bell, the dog attacked me. I shot at him, thought I hit him, but he ran. I searched for hours but couldn't find him. Harrington was furious, said I was sloppy leaving a witness." "A witness?" the prosecutor had asked, confused. "Bell trained that dog to recognize faces, to alert on specific people," Reeves explained. "Some advanced protection training program." That's why Harrington insisted the dog had to go too. He knew if that animal ever saw me again, which was exactly what had happened in court. Argos, with his specialized training and unwavering loyalty, had recognized his owner's killer and alerted everyone in the only way he could. The case against Harrington became ironclad with Reeves' testimony. The pharmaceutical magnate was arrested, his empire crumbling as federal agents uncovered the full extent of his illegal operations and environmental crimes. In a move that surprised no one who knew the story, Sarah Jenkins formally adopted Argos. James Bell, now focused on continuing his uncle's legitimate charitable work and environmental protection efforts, was a frequent visitor, ensuring his uncle's beloved companion had a happy life and proper care. Judge Harrison, who had presided over many cases in his long career, called it the most extraordinary courtroom scene he had ever witnessed. That dog, he told reporters, did what our justice system sometimes fails to do. He recognized evil, and he confronted it without hesitation. 6 months later, a special ceremony was held at the newly completed Millfield Community Center, renamed the Marcus Bell Memorial Center. There, before the assembled town, Argos received a custom-made Medal of Honor, presented by the mayor herself. Sarah knelt beside her now healthy, happy companion as cameras flashed. Justice comes in many forms, she told the gathered crowd. Sometimes, it comes with 4 paws and an unwavering heart. That night, as Sarah sat on her porch with Argos beside her, she reflected on the extraordinary chain of events that had brought them together. A random call about a stray dog had unraveled a murder, exposed environmental crimes, and brought down a criminal empire. You know, she told Argos, scratching behind his ears, most people never find their purpose in life so clearly. The big white dog leaned against her, his dark eyes peaceful now, the haunted look long gone. But you know exactly what you needed to do. You never gave up. Argos sighed contentedly, resting his massive head on her knee as the stars appeared one by one above them. In a courtroom that fateful day, a dog's 3 barks had spoken volumes about loyalty, courage, and the relentless pursuit of justice. And in a small town forever changed by those moments, the legend of Argos, the Dogo who brought down a killer with nothing but his memory and his voice, would be told for generations to come. For in the end, it wasn't sophisticated forensics or brilliant legal maneuvers that solved the case. It was the simplest, most ancient bond of all, the connection between a dog and those he chooses to protect. A bond that even death could not break, and evil could not overcome.